You will get incredible results learning this one skill. Coming right up. Today I want to help you feel more connected and confident. I will break down the E major chord, the E minor chord, and the E7 chord separately, and I'll put them in chapters so you can easily navigate and find what you're really looking for to help your guitar playing. So the open string E chord, many of you have commented that it looks funny the way I have it fingered there. A lot of you have your second finger up high there. I do it this way so I can easily slide to other positions. There's a reason for that. I feel uncomfortable taking this and sliding with my second finger. So basically this open E chord here, no matter how you finger it, I was just sliding on the A string from 2 to 4 and hitting the root here in the second fret of the D string. Then sliding from 4 to 6 on the D string, which is the G sharp note, the major third of E, which we have here, but it sounds more musical to slide up to that note. And then we're in position to hit another E shape here. So we're on the 6th fret here of the D string, 4th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string. And then for me, I'm looking for another chord shape, a triad shape, which is part of this full E chord here, barring here in the 9th fret of the D, G, and B strings. But I just walked up from 7, 8, 9 as a double stop using just 2 of the notes on the D string and the B string in the 7th, 8th, 9th fret. So I'm just simply walking from shape to shape. Sounds connected, sounds like an E chord, because that's one thing I did not do early on is when I started learning scales, I separated chords and scales, and I don't know why. I think a lot of players struggle with this. But if you start practicing everything you do and connect it back to a chord, you're going to skyrocket your playing. You're going to get incredible results. As I said earlier, I really believe this in my heart. I'm using little patterns of the major pentatonic here because they lock into the E chord here. But I'm not looking at any full scale anywhere. I'm really looking at how I can get to the next shape. And also up here is just part of this. You can look at it as a bar chord. But this next shape I always go to. It's on the 14th fret of the D, 13th fret of the G string, and then 12 on the B string. So, and again, as I walked up, you can pick those, you can hit them at the same time like a hybrid pick, and I hit the higher string with my third finger as I pick the lower string with the pick. This gets a totally different sound, a little softer sound. And then I was just following the chord. Getting up to this shape here. Just only using 2 notes of it, and that's the key. You don't always have to use the whole shape. You can use just a note, but still think of it as the whole shape, because that's what you want to see as you look down at this guitar fretboard. So we're here, so we're just hammering on and pulling off here from 9 to 10 and back to 9 on the B string, and then 11, 9 on the G string, and then sliding from 11 to 13 on the G. Then you're in position, and then hitting that B note there on the 12th fret of the B string. And I plucked the open E throughout this a little bit because it's connected. I actually went down another on the D string also, and you can do it either way. I'm just kind of improvising, so it's not an exact science here. But you can go 11, 9, on the 11, 9 on the G, 11, 9 on the D, and then hit the open E. And then I'm just barring my third finger on the 12th fret of the B and E strings and sliding up 2 frets to 14. And then just pulling back down 1 stroke with my pick. And that just creates a good soft sound there. Sounds connected. And then I just finished it off in my little example there with an E major 7, which fits right. Even if the rest of the band isn't playing that, sometimes this will fit. So I'm just adding 1 note to that, barring in the 9th fret here of the D, G, and B strings, I'm adding the 11th fret of the E string, which is a D sharp note here. Sounds great when you use a little whammy on there. But again, everything locks into this E chord. Now when I go to a E minor chord, looking for a couple shapes, so most of us know the open chord and then the bar chord here, root note here in the 9th fret. I was just using some notes from the chord. Just playing the chord basically 1 note at a time. So sliding from 5 to 7 on the A string. You're in position, visualizing this chord. 7 on the A, 9 on the D string, and then 8, 7 on the B string. Still visioning the chord here, but on the 9th fret of the G string, 9th fret of the D string, 7, 9 on the G. I like to lay my third finger flat to do something like this. It's just hard to hop like that. And you can do a slight bend as you go from 7 to 9 on the G. then I'm moving up the fretboard a little bit. Just going to another position. I'm looking, because you have this minor here, this G note just fits right with it. And there is a pentatonic position we can just walk right down. So I'm really sliding from 7 to 9 on the D, and then hitting 9 on the G, 9 on the D. "12, 9 on the G. And then walking down. And there's a lot of variables you can do with that, but in this position it would be 12, 9, 12, 9, 12, 10, 12, 10, open. And then you can just repeat a little phrase. Just do 4, and then hitting the 5th note there, start it again. This gives it a rolling sound. Now the E7 chord. This is where the fun stuff comes, because I'm looking at major and minor sound, but really don't overcomplicate this. This is looking at the E7 here, but I almost always go to an E9 chord in this situation because it just sounds great. The root here on the 9th fret of the A string, and then 8 on the D string, and then you're barring with your 3rd finger of the 7th fret on the G, B, E strings. Just really outlining the chord there. You're hitting a B note, half bend, which gets you to the G sharp, and then the E. D, outlining all of the notes within that chord. So 9 on the E string, 8 with a slight bend, quarter bend, on the B string, hitting the root note here in the 9th fret of the G string, and then 7, 9. And then you can easily walk down on the D string here, starting on the B note because it's in the E9 chord, down to the G sharp, which is also in that chord, and you're in position to actually play the chord. 9, 8, 7, 6. And you can move this, that sound up. So I'm looking at this. I actually just look at the major. You don't always have to look at a 7 arpeggio. I just use major a lot of times for the E. And then walking up. So we can just slide from 12 to 13 on the G. B string, we go 12, 14, 15. And then 12, 14 quickly. Bend on 12 of the G string. Couple hits there, back to the root. 14th fret of the D string. When you bend that slight bend, you're hinting at this major sound here. It's kind of, a lot of great licks have been created by that little slight bend. And then you can walk right down, as we did in this other position. You can hammer onto this 12 to 14 a couple times. 12 on the D, A string, 14, 13, 12, 11. And then you're in position to play. It would be another E9. It actually doesn't have a root in it, but this fits that chord perfectly. This is a great voicing here. 11 on the A string, 12 on the D string, 11 on the G string, and then back to 12 on the B string. This has a great sound. It's nice when you walk down and you're in position to play a chord after you play a phrase. Really, that major minor is a fine line. Don't overcomplicate it. Just add a few major notes to the minor pentatonic. That's really how I like to look at it. And there's so many variables. But this type of playing, when you pick up your guitar, at least some of your practice time, play any chord, because you can do this with any chord. All this stuff is movable that I just showed you. And it's just a fun way to practice and very connected. It will train your ear, basically, to hear those sounds. And you can do the same thing over a full chord, 1-4-5 blues or rock progression. This same stuff applies because you want to stay within a scale and then hint at the other notes as chords go by. I was just doing it with one chord, and you have to get good. That's where you start. Then you will get good at just the simple things. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I had a blast making this lesson. This is how I practice. I go into more advanced ways of doing it, but this is the basic structure. This will just really give you a boost and level up your guitar playing. I promise you. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one.